All right, the Moist Line calls come your way at 6:05 and 6:35. Movie review next hour. Top films of 2011 and a few bad ones. Got a lot to go, and of course we'll be on Channel 5 with Chef Calvin. Little side note on Jerry Brown's budget. Every once in a while, some of these political writers do put something in there worthwhile. Dan Walters of the Sacramento Bee had a good one today. The general fund budget that Jerry Brown revealed yesterday is $92.6 billion. But Dan Walters wanted you to know that's not really all the state spends. It's actually $137.3 billion because there's $40 billion in special funds and just under $5 billion in bond funds. But then he says, and that's not all the state spends, because the state gets $70 billion in federal money to spend, which is funneled through the budget. Now the total is more than $200 billion. But that's not all, Dan Walters says. The numbers don't include $50 billion in public pension payouts.
So we're talking about $250 billion?
That is correct. That's how he puts it.
Okay.
That would bring the state's total expenditures to about $250 billion. $250 billion.
I think $250 billion is enough to run the state every year, and they don't need another dime in taxes.
Yes.
All right? $250 billion, and you can't run the state?
He also says, and this is another good point, the $92.6 billion doesn't include $6 billion in what they call tax diversions to counties to pay for Jerry Brown's prisoner realignment program, which we've talked about so much. So then when you really look at this, the actual general fund spending is $100 billion, which is just about the level of spending before the recession clobbered the revenue stream a few years ago.
There hasn't been
for all this, John's going to say.
There has not been any real cuts by Jerry Brown.
No, I think last year's budget was in the order of like $85 billion for the general fund. Now he's got it up to $92 billion. And if he gets his taxes in November, which adds another $7 billion they can grab and spend, that's what's going to bring us over $100 billion.
Okay, so
which is where we were when we were in deep crap a few years back.
So it's not. There's no real cuts.
Yes, it's all lies.
It's just all lies.
It's all lies.
And they don't talk about the other $150 billion that they have from other funds and from the federal government. So
walk around and tell your friends that the state of California in total spends $250 billion. Can you really even $250 billion it spends totally?
It makes you choke, doesn't it?
And that's just the
$250 billion. And then ask yourself, what am I getting for this? What am I getting?
Yeah, that's the scary part.
Yeah. And then they're going to tell you, well, we've cut as much as we can here. I mean, we desperately need this new revenue. It's like, no, you're a liar. You're a stinking liar and a crook.
This is just more ammunition we're going to need for the tax revolt fight that comes our way with the November vote.
Let's file this story away.
And by the way, I believe
most people don't know this stuff.
When they officially qualify these tax measures for the November ballot, that's when we're really going to begin the tax revolt clock and the whole fight.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we're going to do. I don't know how many months from now that's going to be, but we don't want to start it too early and wear you out, but we want to remind you it's coming.
Although eventually we will wear you out.
All right.
Moist Line in minutes. All right, next hour, Moist Line, 2 rounds of that. Ken's top 10.